Hey guys, we have a pretty brief video tonight. We're just going to get started with some vocabulary and a couple examples because in class we're going to do some hands-on activities to get us started with our triangles. So please make sure that your name is on your handout. Okay, and this is Chapter 9, Lesson 2, Triangles. Our objective is 6.8a. I can discuss the properties of triangles. So we're going to be classifying triangles by angles and by sides. So first let's look at how we can classify them by angles. So our first example is an acute triangle. And an acute triangle is when all of the angles are acute. So remember, acute means that your angle is less than 90 degrees. Okay, so if all of my angles in the triangle are less than 90, that means it's an acute triangle. We also have a right triangle, okay, and we have learned that a right angle is 90 degrees. We see them in our complementary angles. Okay, so if we have a triangle with a right angle, we call that a right triangle. And an obtuse triangle is when you have one obtuse angle. Okay, so if you have one angle that is greater than 90 degrees. Okay, so that would be this one right here. This is my biggest angle. I can tell that it's bigger than my 90. So it's an obtuse triangle. Okay, how can we classify them by sides? We have a scalene triangle. Scalene triangles mean that there are no congruent sides. So all three sides of my triangle are different sizes. And that's a scalene. Next we have an isosceles triangle. With an isosceles triangle, we have at least two congruent sides, okay? Can you have more than two congruent sides? Yeah, absolutely, okay? We just know that we have at least two. And then the last one we have is an equilateral triangle, which means that all three sides of the triangle are congruent, okay? And you'll notice that we have these lines, these symbols. This is telling us that the sides are congruent, okay? All right, let's look at our first couple examples. And we're going to classify each triangle by its sides. So we have the lengths of our sides, and I notice that all four sides of my triangle are 4 inches. So that tells me that my sides are all congruent. Okay, and I'm going to show that with our line. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's one line or two, but we want to show that they're all congruent. So if I have all three sides congruent, that means that this is an equilateral triangle. All three sides are equal. Okay, let's look at our second example. In the second example, I have a side that's 3 inches, 1 inch, and 2 inch. I notice that none of my sides are equal. None of them are congruent. So that means this is a scalene triangle. All right, so we already classified by sides. Now we're going to classify by angle. Okay, you'll notice I have the same triangle. Okay, how can I classify it by angle, excuse me. So I see my three angles are all 60 degrees. So I notice that my angles are less than 90. So that means that this is an acute triangle. My second one, I have an angle that's 58 degrees, 32 degrees, and my right angle, what does that tell us? That tells us that this is 90 degrees. We know a right angle is 90. Okay, well, if I have a right angle, that means this is a right triangle. Okay, can you classify a triangle by its sides and angles at the same time? Yes, you can. Okay, so this triangle is a right triangle and a scalene triangle. It's both. Okay, and the same with this one. This one is also an equilateral and an acute because it has the same sides. My sides are all equal, okay, and my angles are acute. All right, that's it for your video. Okay, you're going to flip this over, fold it in half, and glue it in your journal for safekeeping. And I will see you tomorrow. Hope you have a wonderful weekend.